What's up, guys? And so the Flash is now officially in theaters, and after so many years of development and with the director changes, and this movie is now officially in theaters, and which is something that us as DC fans have been waiting for so long. And I gotta say, with this film, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really great DC film, especially for bringing back Michael Keaton's Batman and introducing Sasha called Supergirl into the DCEU universe. I felt like this movie did does that with the involving the multiverse and with so much more as well. And so in this video, this will be a full review for the Flash, and I give you guys my thoughts and my opinions, and also going through what went down, even going over the cameos and the ending, and even the post credit scene, and for what it means as now that this movie is going to be a reset for James Gunn's new DC slate and so much more as well. But before I move on, there are going to be some major spoilers for the Flash, and so if you haven't seen the film, click on this video now and click on this video after seeing the movie. And so if you're new to the channel and don't subscribe like this, make sure to subscribe with the bell so don't miss out on videos to this. And so let's get into it. And now going in this film, I really have my expectations way low, especially for the fact that this movie is going to be the finale for the old DCEU. Like it started 10 years ago with Man of Steel, and now it ends right here with the Flash. And even with the controversy surrounding the film, and even with Ezra Miller, and with everyone that was really mad and really furious, and like even with the DC universe, it's kind of like messed up right now. And even with some films that don't like kind of like mixed reviews, but even with this film, I just really enjoyed it. It kind of felt like a Barry Allen origin story, especially for the character alone, and even with the aspect of it, especially as I saw this on an IMAX screen, it definitely looked very beautiful, and with any Muschietti, he definitely knocked this one out of the park as well. And now, with the way that this movie opens, it opens with Barry Allen, like we used to see him in the DCEU, and even with the pacing of the film, it goes by very quickly. It goes and goes and goes, and then many different points, and even with Barry, who's like being late for work, has to go to the coffee shop to get his breakfast, and then they have a situation where he has to suit up as the Flash, and then with the Alfred played by Jeremy Irons, like we used to see him in the DC universe, of course. And then right before he goes to see the world, and then he gets like stopped by like many fans of the Flash, and then like that moment was pretty funny as well. And then even with just like bringing Ben Affleck's Batman back, even for one last time, it definitely felt so good. And even with the Batman cycle, and even when just bringing him back, it was so good. Even though this marks his last performance, and even like with this film, that was really like a spectacular, and I thought it was really good as well. And like even with the cameos that we see here, even in the opening minutes of this film, is with the Wonder Woman, and then like she appears like right as like a Batman is just trying to live like someone up from like trying to destroy the world, and even with Wonder Woman saving him, I mean like this was like the best cameo that we ever gotten with a Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman as well. And so it was really great to see these characters for last time. And now I wanted to talk about Ezra Miller in the song that even though with the song that it's had like so much controversy behind it, even with Ezra Miller who was like arrested and did some really bad stuff, even though like with behind the scenes, and like even though that like Ezra Miller went through a lot, especially this one went through reshoots and so much more, but like Ezra Miller gave like a really good performance, especially as he brought up the comedy super well, and even in like some scenes like he was and like a really funny guy, and like he definitely brought the humor and in the comments well. Even with the alternate of Barry Allen, and it was really good at seeing these two on screen, and like with their chemistry together, it was like awesome as well. And even with Ezra Miller, I just really enjoy his performance. and even with the flashback of young Barry Allen and his mother right before she was killed, and even though we see her getting killed after that with Barry's dad right beside her, and then where we see the flash and that I can go back in time so that he can save his mom and to even to save his parents as well, even with his dad who's in jail, and even though he went back in time to even change one thing and that as to save his mom's life, and even with the film that this is based on the comic storyline of Flashpoint, and even though he went back in time, he changed the course of history, and then that's how he ended up with an alternate version of himself, and we see these two Barry Allens on screen, and even with Barry that completely broke the multiverse. And even with Iris West and in this film, I really enjoyed her, especially with the chemistry between her and Barry. I think we first saw her in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and even with Barry that went back in time into the past to where his parents are still there. And we see an alternate version of himself, and even though that he went back into a point in time where he does not have his powers, and even with the older Barry, he gets the powers instead of Barry from the present time. And plus, even with the Barry that broke the universe, I said he created a world with no meta-humans, and with those humans that didn't exist is of course the Justice League. Of course, and I even know with the Barry that I broke the universe, and now he's saying there's no one to defend us, and even that I had to find a Batman I can go and defend him, and that's of course a retired Batman, and that is Michael Keaton's Batman. And now I wanted to talk about Michael Keaton's Batman in this film a bit because ever since we first saw him in stuff photos, when it was freaking out that Michael Keaton's Batman was going to be officially returning in this film, and just we're bringing him back from the Tim Burton films from 30 years ago. It was a really nice touch to see him come back, and even with him saying the line on Batman, and that was a really just the cherry on top that really made this film the best. And even just seeing the Batcave, the Batwing, and even for what Michael Keaton's Batman are really put together, it was really well done. Even in the scene right here, for when the two Barry Allens are going to Wayne Manor, that as of course Michael Keaton's Batman, and then we see him going around his house, and then we see Michael Keaton's Batman, but as we see he's a retired Batman, and he has got a long hair and a beard, and that he was explaining the importance of the multiverse, and even though he really explained it well, even with Barry that I completely broke everything in the multiverse, and even for when General Zod is alive, and even though that he is back, this is causing Barry to go to a retired Batman so that they can defeat him. And now this is where we'll be introduced to Sasha Calle, Supergirl, and even for when she was first announced as Supergirl by Andy Muschietti himself, and with Sasha Calle being the first Latino superhero to play a Supergirl, and something she won every scene, she had the most amazing performance in this one. I just really enjoyed everything that she brought to the character, of course, and even the teaming up with the two Barry Allens to defeat Zod, it was truly an epic moment. And now, for when we get introduced to a Supergirl, or should I say Calle, and so much she is introduced as a Kryptonian prisoner, and this is when the two Barry Allens and Batman fight her as they're in a Russian facility, and even though with this fight scene on the Batwing, and this is what a truly an iconic moment right here, even though with the parachutes and all this stuff, and even as we see the two going up, as they're being attacked by soldiers, and even with the scene right here where we see a Supergirl really show off her powers against the soldiers that are attacking them, and even we see Supergirl showing off her best, and I just really enjoyed Supergirl, and she really did so good in this film. And next, we see Barry trying to get his powers back from old Barry, and then we see a finally do it. They try to put a lightning in him. This is from Batman's boomerang, and even with the lightning that goes into Barry, that's trying to get his powers back. And even though for once it doesn't work, and even though that we thought that he is dead, but we see old Barry just holding the other Barry's hand and transferring the powers from him into Barry's body, and that's how he gets his powers back. And even though with the two older Barrys and Supergirl being suited up to defeat General Zod and towards the third act of the film, it was truly awesome to win this, and even having Keaton's Batman along as well. And now, especially for the third out of the film, which I did enjoy, but it was really unexpected. And that's with the two Barrys, Batman and Supergirl, going into battle with General Zod and going to defeat him. And even in this moment that we saw from the Man of Steel, because even with Barry that broke the multiverse and entered a reality where General Zod is alive. And then we see the most unexpected thing happen. And even as we see Batman and Supergirl going to defeat General Zod's army, and we see a Supergirl and Batman both ended up dead, but even with the alternate Barry decides to go back in time, even before they died, and even he changed everything, and even we see the two Barrys that discuss on how when they travel back in time, they end up killing people, and that's what the world as well, and even as they try to explain it, and even know that we see a Supergirl and a Batman that did not make it out alive. And now let's talk about the crazy cameos in the film, and that's with the Superman in 1978 and Lois Lane, and then we even get a crazy cameo from Nicolas Cage, who is Superman in that universe, and it was so cool to just see Nicolas Cage and even Superman from 1978 but being a part of this film, and even with that crazy cameo that I completely blew everyone's minds as near towards the end of the film, but all gets in a bit, and even with these cameos that everyone thought this was going to be a fan service, but and even with these cameos, it truly made sense to the story, and even with the two worlds that are totally colliding, and that's with the multiverse. And now with this emotional scene right here, from when we see Barry going back in time to see his mom for the last time before she died, and even though with the altered Barry that I explained to Barry that he needs to let his mother die, or else they'll change everything, especially in the multiverse. And even though we see this emotional scene right here, it was truly heartbreaking. And even though with Barry going to see his mom, it was really great and really touching, and I just really enjoyed everything about this scene. And now, especially with the purpose of this, with a Barry that wants to restore everything, and even before his mom died, and as a mommy a can of tomatoes, and which was removed from the shelf, and I think that's what caused his mom to die, and even in this ending right here in the present day, from when we see Barry at his father's trial, and we see him play the evidence on this security footage, and which we see that Barry as a put the can of tomatoes up on the higher shelf, and which proved that with Barry's father that he is innocent, and that the evidence are right for Barry when to go time traveling, and even with this film right here, it definitely felt like Back to the Future, and it's because even with Barry that went back to the past, and that he wants to undo what he did. And now let's talk about that crazy cameo at the end. I totally changed the future of the DC universe, especially with James Gunn new DC slate, and that is we see Barry after his father's trial, and he calls up Bruce to tell him everything, and then we see a car pulling up, and then we can see it is a cameo by George Clooney's Batman, and even though that we see him, and now this raises the question but George Clooney is the new Batman, and this is with a director. I talked about it. They had a cameo with with Batman, and that was almost 30 years in the making, and even with Batman Brave and the Bold, which is James Gunn's new Batman film, and even though with Andy Muschietti, who's confirmed to be directing that film, and even though bringing George Clooney back, I think that it makes it perfect, especially with James Gunn's new DC slate, especially with the film. I completely resets the entire DCEU. And now let's go over the post-credit scene of the film and the fact that there was only one, and it happens towards the end of the film after the credits rolled, and that's we see Barry and a cameo by Jason Momoa's Aquaman, and then we see him leaving the restaurant, and then we see Arthur Curry completely drunk and falling into a puddle, and then we see Barry going to his apartment, and then we see Arthur giving Barry his ring, and then with Barry that saying that this is an Atlantean ring, and then he goes to his apartment. And then the movie ends from there. And now for my main takeaway from this film is I thought this was a really great DC movie, and this generally felt like a Barry Allen origin story, even though this film was years in development with the director changes, and even with the delay in release dates, and even with the bringing back of Michael Keaton's Batman and Ben Affleck's Batman for the last time, and this was truly a good film, and I really enjoyed Sasha Calle's performance as Supergirl. I think the future of DC is bright right now, and even at some I completely reset everything for the universe. And yeah, what else? I really enjoyed The Flash. I thought this was a really good DC film, especially as I love the performances out of everyone, including for Ezra Miller. And even though with this one I had so much controversy behind it, and even with Ezra Miller, and but I think with him, I think he's done playing the Flash, and I enjoyed him as the Flash for the DCEU, especially with him being in the Justice League, and I think there's a new. Barry Allen as a war to be replaced. So once James Gunn's new DC slate is properly set in the future of the DC universe as well. So yeah, I think DC's future is bright right now, and I can't wait to see for what happens next as well. And so that's gonna be for this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below. And if you've seen The Flash, give me a rating between 1 out of 10, and I'll what you thought about the movie. Give this video a like and subscribe to turn on notifications for future videos, and find updates while it's on Twitter. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.